welcome back. So this week I went on a little bit of a shopping haul and I purchased a lot of products, all white, all different types of mediums. What I'm looking for is a way to cover up some of the lines that come in the coloring books. Why would you want to get rid of the lines? Well, sometimes the artist does a little bit of shading that you don't want in your picture. You may be shading to the left, they shaded to the right. And there are things that you just want to disappear. There's also different effects that you will get. If you leave heavy, dark lines in a coloring book, you're going to get a cartoon effect. If you get rid of the lines, you can get a more realistic effect. Why? Because real life does not have black lines around. So what I've done is I've gotten all these products. Now, two of them are very common in the coloring book community, Posca and Gel Pen. Liquitex acrylic ink. We've got Equaline. This is a watercolor. Winsor and Newton's white ink. Dr. F. Martin pen white ink. Dr. F. Martin Hydrus. And this is a white watercolor. We've got brush and pencil. And this is their titanium white. These two are airbrush paint. And one is opaque white, and the other one has a little bit of a shine on it. This is the water-based acrylic, so this is why I chose it, because it is the water-based, where others are either alcohol or gel. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to color in the white lines using these products. Some of them need paintbrushes. Obviously, this is a marker pen. Once we're done, then we'll evaluate each one of them. I gave it a second coat and I let it dry for 2 hours. Now you can see some of them are translucent and some of them are opaque. Most of these dull down that black line. Being completely obliterated is not necessarily a good thing, because if you completely obliterate your line, you don't see where you are going. So don't judge it by that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take an orange pencil, because orange is like the mid-tone, and I'm going to color over them, and I'm going to evaluate them. Now what I did was I took and made a card up for each and every one of these. What I'm looking for, is it translucent or opaque? We want it to be opaque. On the lay down, does it have a smooth texture or does it have a texture to it? Having a texture is not what we're looking for. We want something to absorb into the page and have a smooth transition. Does it chip off? Yes or no? And we'll know that if the line turns black. Application, what I needed. For some people it makes a difference, and some people it don't. This one just happens to be applied with a brush. Personally, I don't mind using the brush. Under pencil coverage, did the color change over it? Which means that when I took a pencil over it, did it turn white? If it turned white, it lost its tooth. And I'm not going to ever be able to get that smooth transition. Under the chipped, we're looking to see if it turns black. And under the pencil coverage, we're looking to see if it turns white. You'll be able to see it closer when I do the test. And of course, price does matter. How does it compare price-wise? So I'm going to color all of these and fill out the forms as I go along, and then we'll come back and we'll evaluate what I found. I've written down all my findings up until this point, but there's one more test that I need to do. So I have to test it with a chemical blender because you don't know how it's going to react. So I got some surprising results so far. My idea of the number one product has changed several times. Changed so much that I really want to continue to test. So what I'm gonna do next is I drew down and I varnished some areas on each one of them evenly. And now I want to test the product over the wax. Okay, my final results are in, and I'm kind of shocked because my top products that I would have guessed from the beginning did not pan out. Right at the end, another one took the lead. We can knock a few of these out. The airbrush primer, basically I can go through everything that didn't work on it, and basically nothing worked. So we're gonna cross that one out. Posca, which is our industry standard. Everybody in the coloring community uses Posca. Formed very poorly. First of all, it's chipped completely off. It's black. It's not opaque. It's translucent. The white that I did over is translucent. I could see the orange right through it. So I'm knocking Posca out of the race. We'll come back to brush and pencil. Another one that everybody uses is the gel pens. As you can see, the gel pen did not even, and this is Uniball, it completely wiped out of the outer line. It didn't cover it at all. And when I tried to use it on top of the wax, which is typical of a ballpoint pen, it did not cover at all. So it's completely out of the running. The other airbrush product, no. The watercolor. Now, it looks like a complete failure, but we're going to talk about that. Royal Talens, which I really had high hopes for, okay? At one point during the experiment, I thought it was a contender for the top, but it covered, while it was very opaque, and you can see, this is a very opaque white. This is a nice thing to have over it. If you're doing your highlights over your picture and over it, this is very opaque. So I'm pleased about that. It means I'm not throwing the product out. It did not work well under. Created a texture that was too thick for the paper, and it really went over it, and did not cover with the pencil afterward. The tooth was gone. It also has a texture when I touch it. So Royal Talens I'm keeping this product because I would definitely use it for a highlight. Look how white it is. So I'm going to check this off. It's not the winner, but I'm going to definitely check it off as a product that I'm going to keep. This product, I'm going to give it to my daughter because she does watercolors. I would imagine this is really good for watercolors, the blending. So even though it was not what I wanted it for, I like this product. I did not like it blended with the pencil. It became goopy and dirty looking. The Liquitex, it performed a little bit better than I thought it was going to perform. It's a latex, so it did not take the pencil very well because coloring over latex is very difficult. That did not shock me. Its opacity, that's really nice. This is another one I'm going to keep. And I really thought this was going to be a complete bomb. Let's talk about brush and pencil. Brush and pencil was okay. For over, it landed right in the middle. It's not as opaque as I thought it was going to be. It's toted out by a lot of great artists and recommended by a lot of people who swear by it. And while it's pretty opaque, it's not as opaque as some of these down here. And there was a definite texture on it. Now the problem with it, you have to mix it up as a powder. This powder was $9, but you can only use it with another product, and that's their colored pencil touch-up texture. Now I like this for when I need a little bit of extra texture. Very small confined space. It was pretty good, but for this purpose, this was $20 to cover some lines, and it had it just had too much texture on it, and it was a little bit funky. Yes, would I use it as a highlighter? Yeah, and that's basically what it's for. Did it pass muster on this test for what we want it for, covering the lines? No, it did not. So I'm going to give it like a half. I'm not throwing it out, but it's very expensive. My top contenders for the winner is the Winsor & Newton white ink and the Dr. Martin pen white. In the middle of the test, this was my favorite. For white coverage, for doing highlights and you really want that white, like when we're doing glass and stuff like that, this is definitely, the Dr. Martin's pen white is definitely the brightest. And I wonder how it holds up. It hasn't been 2 hours. Not bad. Coloring it over. It's chipping off a little bit, but it's not completely 100% dry. You'd have to be careful on it. Not awful, but this was definitely the most white. So if you're doing highlights or the dots in an eye or some sort of glass or metal, this was excellent. I would give this top marks. But the one product that outshined everybody, now this is what I thought was going to be the top product, but Winsor & Newton came in with the top. It stole it. Now, is it perfect on the outside? Not really. None of these are perfect. But for what I wanted, if I was a little bit thinner with the line when I was using it, it would have covered it much better. And I also think that if I had done one coat instead of two, it would have absorbed into the paper better, and I would not have scraped off what little bit scraped off of here. So I'm not going to take too much away from it for that. As far as leaving the tooth on the page, it covered the best. It's still a little white, but you know what? You can use that as an advantage too. Doing glow, it's perfect for, and there are some textures that we can add this. Now, while Dr. Martin's was a little bit brighter, we're talking a little bit, this was very opaque. This top on here, I could see I went a little thin, so that might have been me. And let's see how it holds up. Not bad. I don't know why somebody would be doing this, but I guess they would. I mean, there might be some sort of practical application for it. We have to talk about price. Now, the Winsor & Newton, it comes in a bottle that's only 14 milliliters. And the price was $9.99. That's what I paid for it on Amazon. The Dr. Martin's pen white came in at $9.99 also, but the bottle is larger. You get more for your money. You get twice as much. So that might make a difference to you, that you get twice as much. They were close. They were very close. This one was slightly better, but you get half as much. This you get twice as much. Not as good a coverage. If you use a little bit, it might make a big difference. But remember the Dr. Martin's pen white? It came out the brightest. This had the best white coverage. budget is like. If you want a little bit more for a tiny drop less quality, that's a decision you'd make. But I would actually put my stamp of approval on both these products. That was my test. This video is not sponsored in any way, and this is my opinion. Take care. I'll see you in my next video.